Hi guys, it's Frankie from Frankie Tech. Good to see you guys again, and I'm here just to address a quick question that I've been getting quite a bit beyond people asking, Frankie Tech, the Mi 11 is great, but should I wait for the Mi 11 Pro? There's many of you asking the opposite question, Frankie Tech, the Mi 11 is great, but should I upgrade from my Mi 10 Pro, Mi 10 series phone to the Mi 11? And so just want to address this kind of in a quick rundown of the specs and then really share my thoughts. Is it worth going from a Mi 10 Pro to a Mi 11? Let's have a look. Now let's talk about pricing first off. The Mi 10 Pro, when it launched, came at 999 euros. In Hong Kong, it launched for around 765, but now you can pick this phone up for quite a bit less. I've seen it on sale here for around $600 US, so you're starting to see real deals for the Mi 10 Pro. Meanwhile, the Mi 11 just launched for $3999, $610 US, but third parties are definitely charging anywhere from $800 or even $900 US currently for this phone. In terms of dimensions, we have a 9mm versus 8.1mm, 208 grams versus 196 grams. So the Mi 10 Pro is not only thicker, it also is a little bit heavier, and you definitely notice this when you're using the phone. This just feels a little bit heftier and a bit less slick, while the Mi 11 definitely does feel really comfortable. It is a larger phone, but it just feels sleeker and nicer to me to use this phone. You have Gorilla Glass 5 versus Gorilla Glass Victus on the back, and here you see the camera modules. Some of you really don't like this camera module, but you know what? This Mi 10 Pro camera module is also looking a little bit antiquated, and I never liked this additional camera kind of on its own here on this phone. And on the fronts, you have a 6.67 versus 6.81 inch display, Full HD versus WQHD, and 90 Hz versus 120 Hz. Now don't get me wrong, the Mi 10 Pro display still looks fantastic, but it cannot compare now to just the resolution and the smoothness of this Mi 11 display. Easily one of the best aspects of this phone. And the bezels are tiny on these phones, but I will give the Mi 10 Pro the edge when it comes to the curved edge. It looks just a little bit less awkward, but both of these phones are still edge to edge and still are great displays. But if I only have to go with one, I'm going to go with the Mi 11. It is just a superior display in every way. And performance, we have the 865 versus the Snapdragon 888, and we've seen obviously this overheating issue on the 888. Meanwhile, the Mi 10 Pro, it has not had those types of issues, and if that is a concern for you guys, you may want to wait to see what happens with other phones that use this chipset, because the 865, while weaker, is still delivering excellent results. Both phones use DDR5 RAM and UFS 3.1 versus 3.0 here on the Mi 10 Pro. In terms of batteries, pretty negligible difference here. 4,500 versus 4,600 milliamperes and 50 versus 55 watt fast charging. Both of these phones take around 45 minutes to charge fully. But while the Mi 10 Pro has only 30 watt wireless charging, the Mi 11 has 50 watt wireless charging, but of course you're going to need Xiaomi's proprietary solution to even take advantage of that. And dual speakers on both of these phones, you see here at the bottom and at the top, and the Mi 10 Pro speakers are still terrific, but we do have a new champion in this Mi 11. It does deliver the more rich and more pleasing sound, in my opinion. And the Mi 10 Pro still has great comms, dual band, Wi-Fi 6, Bluetooth 5.1 versus 5.2, NFC on both of these phones, and this is the global version, so it has those bands 20 and 28, while the China Mi 11 version also has those bands. And now talking about cameras, this is the one section I think where maybe the Mi 10 Pro still has an advantage. They're both using that same 108 megapixel camera, 1/1.33 inches, but it's f1.7 on the Mi 10 Pro versus f1.9 on the Mi 11. You have a 20 megapixel ultra wide on the Mi 10 Pro versus only 13 on the Mi 11. But here's where this phone sets itself apart. Instead of having this macro camera like the Mi 11, the Mi 10 Pro has two. Get that, two telephoto lenses, a 12 megapixel for portraits, 2x optical, and then an 8 megapixel, 3x optical telephoto. So all in all, guys, here's where you see that the Mi 10 Pro, in terms of cameras, is not falling behind the Mi 11. It's actually ahead. And if camera is the most important priority to you, well, then you have your answer here. That is the main reason why you would not want to upgrade from the Mi 10 Pro to the Mi 11. And so there you have it, guys. Quick rundown of the specs of the Mi 10 Pro versus Mi 11. And now the question, would you upgrade from the Mi 10 Pro to the Mi 11? I think I know the answer to this one, and the answer is no. You definitely would not want to upgrade if you paid a lot of money for this Mi 10 Pro last year. to get the Mi 11. Look, the Mi 11 is a terrific phone. I've absolutely loved my time with it, but here's the deal. The Mi 10 Pro is also still a terrific phone, and unless you really want to be on the cutting edge in terms of display tech, this phone isn't really offering anything less except for maybe that brand new 888 performance, the slightly faster charging, the slightly larger battery, and the slightly better design. I think this phone is definitely feeling a little bit thick and just a little bit more old school now compared to the Mi 11. But if display isn't your priority, then the Mi 11 is actually a step behind in a number of ways compared to this Mi 10 Pro. Namely the cameras and the lack of telephoto, which, as I've stated, is going to be something we're going to see on the Mi 11 Pro. Now the question gets a lot more interesting though if you're using the Mi 10 5G. And if you are a Mi 10 user, then maybe the jump to the Mi 11 is more worthwhile. You already don't have the telephoto on that phone. That would be less of a pain to jump over to this phone. But as it relates to Mi 10 Pro users, and let's face it, this is still the best global Xiaomi phone that you can buy. And so despite how much I love the Mi 11, I'm gonna say it, do not upgrade from the Mi 10 Pro if you have this phone. Wait for future releases of this Mi 11, perhaps the Mi 11 Pro or the Mi 11 Ultra. Those are going to be the true successors to this Mi 10 Pro that you have right here. But hit me up in the comments. Mi 10 Pro or Mi 11? Which would you pick? And if you are a Mi 10 Pro owner, what are the advances that you want to see in the successor that this Mi 11 doesn't offer? Hit me up in the comments. I'd love to hear about it. And that's it for this video. If you liked it, give me that thumbs up. And if you love the content of Frankie Tech, subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell icon for future updates. Stay tuned, guys. More great content and more new phones coming to the channel as well very soon. Stay tuned for that. So that's it. And this is where I leave you by saying, this is Frankie Tech signing off. Have a good one.